AskReddit by Specialist Affect 333. What's a historical event that you find particularly intriguing? The 1893 Chicago World's Fair. Not only was it full of crazy inventions and exhibits, there was also a serial killer on the loose. Good ol' H.H. Holmes. Some of his exploits may have been exaggerated, but still kind of sick. Jack the Ripper, Unsolved. Genghis Khan's empire tactics, impressive. Ninja Samurai, martial prowess. The Donner Party. Who, what, when, built the Easter Island heads? Aren't their bodies buried beneath them? The Triangle Factory fire. WTF happened to the people of Roanoke? Like there's evidence that says Indians took the people of Roanoke, but no blood. No signs of a struggle? Crazy. Violin virtuoso Niccolo Paganini died in 1840, but the church declared the devil gave him his gift of violinist. They wouldn't accept his body, so his coffin made the rounds in somebody's shed for 5 years if I recall. Paganini shreds today's music. 1. The Great Molasses Flood in Boston. 2. The Great Emu War in Australia. The Christmas truce between the British and Germans in WW1. Both sides said fuck it and played a game of soccer. The troops had to be replaced. War is fucking stupid. Those soldiers could have been great friends beyond a language barrier, but one dipshit got shot in Serbia, so everyone's gotta go to war over it. 1889 Unassigned Lands Land Run. I learned about that reading Boomtown by Sam Anderson, my favorite essayist. I never would have heard about it otherwise. The ridiculous amount of inbreeding discovered in King Tut's family. Wonder what those marriages between brother and sister and grandfather and granddaughter were really like. Whether King Arthur really existed. The wall coming down. On the 4th of April 1945, the Buchenwald concentration camp was liberated by the United States. After this, the US military forced the mayor of Weimar to bring 1,000 German citizens to Buchenwald. The US military forced the 1,000 upper-class civilians to walk 16 miles at gunpoint and guided them around the entire camp. They forced everyone to look at what the Nazis were doing so they couldn't claim it as anti-German propaganda from the Allied forces. While the US weren't the only ones to do this, the US were probably the most humane in the process, as Russia and even the UK had a habit of losing a few citizens along the way. The space race, particularly on the side of the US. In the span of a little over 8 years, May 1961 July 1969, NASA went from launching tiny little suborbital launches to flying in orbit, spacewalking, rendezvousing and docking with other spacecraft, flying to, orbiting and ultimately landing and walking on the moon. If we go a little beyond that, we see them even developing a space station and working with the Soviet Union to create a joint space mission that concludes the space race in the 1970s. Molasses Flood. Dancing Plague, not an event but Phil Ox, the folk singer. The transatlantic foot race from New York to California, it was an ad for Route 66 and was like a circus at some points. World War I's Battle of Messines. Chernobyl. I was so psyched when the HBO series came out and it did not disappoint. I sometimes watch it for comfort when I am stressed or feeling down. It's endlessly horrifying and for some reason I vibe with that. 1816, the year without a summer. It bums me out for the people who experienced it and what they had to deal with, but it's still really fascinating. Trump being president. Only current events. Any event in the past isn't really intriguing, cause we already know how it ended, right? How Shooter McGavin blew a 4-stroke lead on the back 9, allowing Happy Gilmore to win the Tour Championship.